So today we are looking at Stay by Zedd and Alessia Cara. This lesson will be based on my acoustic instrumental of the song, which is up on my channel now, so go check that out if you want a bit of a reference of what I'm going to be teaching you today. It should be a nice and easy lesson. There's only 4 chords that we need to know. It's only the drop section that might be a little bit tricky, but apart from that, it's nice and easy. So let's do this. So for this track, there's only 4 chords that we need to know. And the first chord is F minor 7, which is 8th fret A string, 10th fret D string, 8th fret G string, and 9th fret B string. The second chord is D sharp add 4, which is 6th fret A string, 6th fret D string, 8th fret G string, and 8th fret B string. The third chord is C sharp major 7, which is 4th fret A string, 6th fret D string, 5th fret G string, and 6th fret B string. And the fourth and final chord is C minor 7, which is 3rd fret A string, 5th fret D string, 3rd fret G string, and 4th fret B string. And they are all the chords that we need to know. So for this track, there's only 5 sections that we need to cover. The first section will be the intro / verse 1 / end, which I've grouped together because they all use the same chords and the same picking pattern. The second section will be the pre-chorus / bridge, which I've also grouped together because they both use the same chords and the same picking pattern. The third section will be the chorus, the fourth section will be the drop, and the fifth section will be the second verse. So starting with the intro / verse 1 / the end, I'll just play through the whole of the progression once and then I'll teach you how to do it. So here we go. So for this we're going to be starting on the F minor 7, and we're going to be using our thumb, our first, our second and our third fingers to pluck the chords. So we're going to start by plucking the A string with the thumb, then we're going to pluck the D string with the first finger, and then we're going to pluck the G and B strings together with the second and third fingers. So it'll be A, D, G and B. Then we're going to move down to the D sharp add 4, and we're going to do exactly the same. So A, D, G and B. So those two together so far. And then after this we're going to move down to the C sharp major 7, and we're going to do exactly the same. So A, D, G and B together. So what we have so far. And then finally we're going to move back up to the D sharp add 4 and do exactly the same. So A, D, G and B together. And that's the whole of the progression. So if I just play through it a couple of times, just so you can see it nice and slow, and then I'll play it a little bit more up to speed. So just playing through the progression a couple of times, nice and slow. And now a bit more up to speed. Cool, so nice and easy. So that is the chords and picking pattern that I use for the intro. the first verse and the end section. So next, moving on to the pre-chorus / bridge section, I'll just play through the whole of the progression nice and slow, and then I'll teach you how to do it. So here we go. So for this, we're going to be starting on the C sharp major 7, and we're going to start by plucking the A string once, followed by the D string, and then the G and B strings together, and then finally plucking the A string one more time. So it would be A, D, G and B, A. Then after this we're going to slide up to the F minor 7, and we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together once, and then we're going to pluck the A string with the thumb. So if I do those two together, the C sharp major 7 and the F minor 7, it will be. So again, nice and slow. And then after this we're going to move down to the D sharp add 4, and we're going to pluck the A string, then the D string, then the G and B together, then the A string, then we're going to pluck the A string again, then the G and B strings together, and then finally plucking the A string once. So it will be A, D, G and B, A, G and B, A. So when we've got the A strings together, there's a slight gap in between, so it'll be. Okay, and that's all the progression for the pre-chorus and the bridge, so I'll just play through it nice and slow, and then we'll go through it a couple of times. So here we go. And now a little bit more up to speed. So for the pre-chorus and the bridge, it does it 4 times, just as I did then. So it will do that same thing 4 times for the pre-chorus and the bridge, and then after that it will lead on to the chorus. So that is the chords and picking pattern that I use for the pre-chorus section and the bridge section. So next we have the chorus, and I'll just play through the whole of the progression nice and slow, and then I'll teach you how to do it. So for this we're going to be starting on the C sharp major 7, and we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together, so plucking the whole chord. And we're going to be doing this for all of the chords in this progression, so plucking the whole chord, the A, D, G and B strings all together. So starting on the C sharp major 7, we're just going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings. Then we're going to move up to the D sharp add 4 and pluck the whole chord, so the A, D, G and B strings. And then we're going to move up to the F minor 7 and pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together. So far we have. And then after this we're going to go to the C minor 7, and we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together. So far we have. And then after this we're going to go back to the C sharp major 7 and pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together. Then again moving up to the D sharp add 4 and plucking the A, D, G and B strings all together. And then moving up to the F minor 7 and plucking the A, D, G and B strings all together. So what we have so far. Cool, so that's the first half. So for the second half, we're going to do exactly the same, so all those chords, the same picking pattern, so we're going to do this whole thing, this whole little progression in a total of 2 times. And then after we've done this, we're just going to do like a little thing before we go into the drop. So this can be kind of anything you want, but I'll just teach you what I do in my instrumental. So what I do is we're just going to slide on the low E string from about, it doesn't really matter where, but from the kind of the top of the neck. I usually do it from about second or third fret. So we're just going to slide up. So plucking the low E string with the thumb and just sliding up. And then after this, I usually keep my hand sort of around the 9th fret, just muting the strings, and we're going to pluck the E string muted. So just plucking the E string, making sure the left hand is resting lightly on the strings to make sure it's muted. And then we're going to slap the strings. So it'll be a slide, muted E, and then a slap. And this is what I do, so just like a little filler, I guess, to do before it leads into the drops. You can kind of do whatever you want. You can hit the guitar or anything really, but I just like to do it, you know, to give it some sort of impact, I guess, leading into the drop. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to play all those chords that we did twice, then we're going to do this little thing here, and then it'll lead on to the drop. So I'll just play through the whole of the chorus, nice and slow, so you can follow along. Yeah, so here we go. And again. Okay, so if I just go through that again a little bit more up to speed. Okay, so that's the chord progression and picking pattern that I use for the chorus. So next we have the drop section, and this is probably going to be the most complex section of the piece, but it should be nice and straightforward. So I'll just play through the whole of the progression, or the whole of the section, nice and slow, and then I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so here we go. So for this, we're going to be starting on the C sharp major 7, and we're going to start by plucking the A, D, G and B strings all together once, and then we're going to follow this with a slap, so it'll be A, D, G, B all together, then a slap. After this, we're going to move up to the D sharp add 4, and we're going to pluck the whole chord, so the A, D, G and B strings twice, and then slap the strings. So plucking the A, D, G and B strings twice and then slapping the strings. Then we're going to move up to the F minor 7, and we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings once and then slap the strings. So A, D, G, B once and then slapping the strings. So what we have so far. Then after this we're going to move down to the C minor 7 and pluck the A, D, G and B strings twice and then slap the strings, so just as we did for the D sharp add 4. So plucking the A, D, G and B strings twice and then slapping the strings. Okay, so what we have so far. Then after this we are going to go back to the C sharp major 7 and we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together and then slap the strings, so just as we did at the start. Moving up to the D sharp add 4 and as we did at the start, A, D, G and B twice and then a slap. Then moving up to the F minor 7 and doing as we did at the start, so A, D, G and B strings all together once and then a slap. So what we have so far. So next we're going to do a little lick which will lead us back into the chords again. So I'll just play through the lick nice and slow and then I'll teach you how to do it. So it'll be... So for this we're going to be using our thumb and our second fingers to pluck the strings. So we're going to be starting by plucking the 5th fret G string with the 3rd finger in the left hand, and we're going to slide this up to the 10th fret on the same string, on the G string. Okay, so the 5th fret slid up to the 10th fret, and then we're going to pluck the B string on the 9th fret. So here I'm using my second finger. I'm using our second finger in the right hand as well to pluck it. So it'll be... And then again we're going to go back to the 10th fret G string and pluck it with the thumb, and then we're going to pull off to the 8th fret. So on the same string, so 10th fret to 8th fret. So it'd be... So pulling with the 3rd finger to the 1st finger with the left hand. And then we're going to move to the D string and do the same movement, so pulling off from the 10th to the 8th with the 3rd and 1st finger in the left hand. Still plucking with the thumb in the right hand. So... Okay, and then with the 1st finger on the 8th fret, we're going to slide down to the 6th fret on the D string. Okay. So what we have so far. So I'm actually going to pluck the 8th fret again. We're going to slide down from the pull off that we do from the 10th fret, if you see what I mean. Okay, so... And then finally we're going to pluck the 8th fret A string with the thumb. So that'll finish the lick. So the 8th fret A string. So the lick all together, it will be nice and slow. Okay. So if this is a bit tricky, you can kind of find your own way to do it. This is just a lick that I like to put in that sort of follows the melody of the song, but you don't have to do this. You can kind of just leave it blank if you want. It's just something that I like to put in. So nice and slow again, here we go. Okay, so if I just play you through what we have so far with the lick. Cool, so then after this we're going to go back to the C sharp major 7 and do pretty much exactly what we did before. But coming in on the C sharp major 7, we're going to be plucking the A, D, G and B strings on the and of 1. So if I was counting through it when we were playing it, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, if you see what I mean. So it would be 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. So it comes in on the and, so you're going to play the lick and then come in on the and of 1 for the C sharp major 7. So if I just do that nice and slow with the lick leading into the C sharp major 7, it will be. If you see what I mean? So on the and of 1, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so starting on the C sharp major 7, we're going to do the A, D, G and B strings on the and of 1 and then a slap of the string. So then after this, moving up to the D sharp add 4 and doing as we did at the start, so plucking it twice and then a slap. Then moving up to the F minor 7 and plucking A, D, G and B strings all together once and then a slap. Then moving down to the C minor 7 and plucking the A, D, G and B strings twice and then a slap, just as we did before. Okay, so what we have so far, 1. Okay, then after this going back to the C sharp major 7 and plucking the A, D, G and B strings once and then slapping the strings. Then moving up to the D sharp add 4 and plucking the A, D, G and B strings twice and then slapping the strings. Just as we've done before, so from the C sharp major 7. And then finally we're going to go up to the F minor 7 and we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings once and then slap the strings. And then we're going to do this again, so plucking the A, D, G and B strings all together and slapping the strings. And then finally we're going to pluck the A, D, G and B strings all together and letting them ring. And that'll be the end of the drop. So if I just do that last bit there, starting for on the C sharp major 7, it will be. Okay, so that'll be the whole of the progression and picking pattern for the drop. I hope you didn't get too lost in there. I know there was lots of bits and stuff in there with the lick and lots of the picking patterns, but I'll just play through the whole thing now, nice and slow, so you can follow along and see where all of that lies. So here we go. Cool, so now a little bit more up to speed. Okay, so that is the chord progression and picking pattern that I use for the drop. And finally we have the second verse, and this is going to be very, very similar to the first verse, as it's the same chords, just with a slight difference to the picking pattern. So I'll just play through the whole progression nice and slow, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. So for this we're going to be starting on the F minor 7 and we're going to pluck the A string, then the D string, then the G and B together, which is what we did for the first verse, and then the difference here with the second verse is that we're going to go back to the A string, so plucking the A string once, and then again plucking the G and B together. So it would be A, D, G and B, A, G and B. Cool, so then moving down to the D sharp add 4, and A, D, G and B, so we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're actually going to do exactly the same picking pattern for all of the chords in the second verse. So it'd be A, D, G and B, A, G and B. So then moving down to the C sharp major 7 and doing exactly the same. So A, D, G and B, A, G and B. Then finally moving up to the D sharp add 4 and doing exactly the same. So A, D, G and B, A, G and B. And for the second verse, we're going to do this in a total of 2 times. So I'll play through it nice and slow. Cool, so that is all of the chords and the picking pattern that I used for the second verse. And that's all you need to know for this track, so I hope you enjoy the lesson. Remember to hit the subscribe button below to keep up to date with all my latest guitar tutorials and acoustic instrumentals. I'll see you all on the next one.